Ons gesels met die hoofuitvoerende beampte van B&B Business Solutions, also the founder, Bakani Ngulani. And it's one of South Africa's top entrepreneurs under the age of 25. That was the National Small Business Chamber Awards, and also walked away with the prestigious National Young Entrepreneur Champion Award. Good morning.
Morning, how are you?
Lovely. How old are you now?
Still 25.
Still 25. Wow. It's just amazing. When did you, before we get to your business, because we're actually going to talk about deregistration of companies, but just a little background, of your own personal life. Where did you grow up?
Okay. I grew up in Zimbabwe, and then I came here to further my articles in chartered accountancy. Midway, I realized that chartered accountancy is not really what I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about what we audit, which is the actual small businesses. That's when I decided to venture out and set up my own accounting, taxation, and compliance firm, which I must say, given its age, has done quite well for itself.
And you've got an office, Joburg, Cape Town, Durban.
Yes.
And you want to open in Namibia and more offices.
Definitely. That's the 5-year plan.
That's the 5-year plan. I like this. What was the biggest challenges for you as an entrepreneur?
I think the biggest challenge was mostly breaking into the market and finding clients. So you know that your worth is XYZ, but then because you're trying to break into a barrier that's already a bit flooded, you have to lower your pricing and even get to an extent where you're saying, okay, I'll work for free for a few months just to prove my worth. So the initial client take on, coupled with my age, a lot of people would say, no, we don't trust you, etc. But then it got to a point where I proved to them that being young was actually an advantage because I was able to do things faster and quicker.
That is my next question. Do you think it's more difficult because you're young, especially when it comes to accounting?
Yes.
People go like, no, you need to have 20 years experience.
Exactly.
Okay, but you overcome that.
I overcame that basically because you'll note that with the world that's changed nowadays, you need someone who's always on the ball with information and changes, etc. And all this information and changes comes through someone who's constantly reading or has time or has access to this information. So no offense to the old generation, but I feel like because I'm young, I'm more tech savvy and I get access to all this information through various platforms, be it LinkedIn, be it updates from our governing body, etc. So because I'm more in the digital age, I have more time to read more information in brief, and then I'll be able to expand on it and then keep up to date with my accounting and tax knowledge.
And you also believe in the 70-30 model.
Yes.
Everyone in your company, they younger than 70% younger than 35.
Yes.
But it's still amazing being 25 and giving a job to someone that's 35.
Yes.
And that works for you because it's a vibrant environment.
Exactly. It works for me because now, as I'm saying, you've got all this fresh blood or young blood, as I refer to it, coming with innovative ideas, and then you obviously have the other end of the age spectrum where you need them because they have a bit more of a wisdom and they know things instinctively, versus the young people are still just thriving off of their energy.
So now, the company's Intellectual Property Commission in 2017, they made this announcement. A requirement of the Companies Act 71 of 2008. What does that imply? What does it change? Or the announcement, what was it?
The announcement was basically saying that because companies have been failing to comply with CIPC regulations, which require them to submit annual returns, these companies who haven't submitted returns for 2 or more consecutive years would then be struck off the register. So basically your company would be null and void because CIPC just doesn't recognize you anymore.
And then the typical cost of compliance or non-compliance?
The cost of compliance ranges from anything between 150 a year to 1,000 rand a year. I say this because if you are earning a lower level of revenue per year, the actual CIPC submission process only costs 150 at CIPC. Of course, people add on their service fees, but they really go over 500 rand. And then apart from that, you have to then submit your annual financial statements, which may go from anything between 3,000 rand if it's a monthly fee to as much as 20,000 rand minimum if it's a once-off annual financial statements compilation. So the cost of compliance is really negligible compared to the benefits that you get if you're a compliant company.
And I was involved in a business last year, just quickly. They gave money for development, industry development or social development. And some of the companies, they just missed 1 year or they were 2 years behind with these fees, and they couldn't receive this money. And that's what people must realize, even if your business is very small.
Yes.
You will advise them to really pay that fee.
Yes, definitely I'll advise them because it unlocks so many opportunities that can take you to the next level. For example, as you're saying yourself, that if you're in the charity space, you really can't get funding because you're non-compliant. Even if you're in the SMME space working with government, because now that's linked to your central supplier database, you are then flagged as non-compliant. You can't get government work. So because you didn't spend 150 Rand minimum, you are now failing to get 150 million Rand deal.
Exactly. Ons gesels verder met Bakani en Ngulani, stigter en hoofuitvoerende beampte van Business Solutions, en dis oor besighede wat gederegistreer kan word, en ook met jou, soos hulle in Engels sal sê, the annual returns. We just discussed, we got some background on you and your businesses. What are the opportunities that companies have when submitting their annual returns?
So when companies submit their annual returns, they are in good standing with the CIPC, with the Central Supplier Database, SARS, and any other business that may want to conduct business with them. So by being in good standing with these governing bodies, they're then eligible for contracts and work which will enable them to grow their businesses. Because you can't grow your business if you're not compliant, because people don't deal with you. Yes. For example, in some cases, some companies have resorted to saying that if you're not compliant, we won't pay you. So you will engage people to do the work if you're mostly contractors or whatever, and you spend money doing the work, but then now you won't get paid because you're not compliant. So being compliant is basically what should drive every organization.
Before we talk about the deregistration, a thing I think also companies struggle with is like even VAT.
Yes.
So you guys also, you help new companies understand the whole concept of VAT and make sure they claim it back and they pay it.
Yes. So what we do is we register companies for VAT. So either on their behalf or we guide them through the process. Then once done, we have a package where monthly you pay us a set retainer, and then we handle all your accounting work for you. So that includes your month-to-month accounting, your payroll services, your VAT returns, BEE, and annual financial statements. So this means that you can then focus on your business whilst we then focus on the accounting and compliance. We also have some cases where a business owner says, look, I want to know how to do this myself. We then reach out to them and offer them a training course where we break down every aspect of income tax and accounting and VAT and payroll check to them. That way it's sort of a skills development for them. So now not only are they good at business, but then they're also aware of how to run a business. Because most people, you know that they're very good at their trade, but then when it comes to running a business, they don't have that admin skill.
Yes.
So it's either they can then outsource that to us, or we train them how to be better business people in the admin sector.
Sure. I know how many South African companies may face the registration?
When we did our indexing, there were about 296,000. So let's just say 300,000 companies. And this spans across private companies, CCs, non-profit organizations, external companies. So it's just right across the entire spectrum.
Sure. And then why is the submission needed and why is it important?
It's important for the CIPC to know how many companies are in business. So hence the whole process of submitting annual returns. That way they get to know if people on that database are active or not. And it also helps for statistical purposes. It's pointless for them to say we have 10 million registered entities, but of those 10 million, 300,000 or 1 million are not really compliant. So this is purely for statistics purposes, and it's required by the Act.
Bakani, we're talking about deregistration and SARS and tax and company stuff that's very important. We spoke about admin. It's a big flaw in companies, especially new businesses. Someone is an entrepreneur, but still you hate doing emails or hate doing the books. But you're submitting your annual statements, returns, is it an easy process or not?
It's quite an easy process, quite speaking, because once you get your annual financial statements, just a matter of going onto the CIPC website, logging with your customer code, you click submit annual returns. There's easy questions to answer, and then from there you just submit.
And the deadline for submissions?
CIPC said that the deadline for this particular submission would be on 2 February, but then going forward is usually the anniversary date of when your company was registered. That's when you have to submit your annual returns.
So if an entity is deregistered due to non-compliance, may it be re-registered or instated? What do you do then?
All right, it's then called a reinstatement, and you need to apply for it. To apply for reinstatement, you should prove that the company was in existence at the time of deregistration. This is done by submitting 3 months back statements prior to deregistration and 3 months after deregistration, proving that indeed the business account was active. You'll have to do a deed search to prove if there's any property in the company's name, and you also have to, if it's a matter of creditors, they have to get a court interdiction to then get the company reinstated. So it's quite a lengthy process, because now you have to be advertising on newspapers, and you then have to spend money proving that there is a reason for them to reinstate you. And also in that time, you might lose your company name. Let's say, for example, BN Business Solutions were to sell it by some mistake, I don't submit returns. Anyone who liked my name can then take up the name and register it. So I'm sitting home with papers saying, no, the company is mine, the name is mine, but then there's someone else who legally has that company, because once they register it, the name becomes available for people to then use it for whatever purpose that they like.
Sure.
A process such as this, like the deregistration, how long does that usually take?
Okay, so what happens is CIPC has got 3 phases of the deregistration process. It's either you are compliant, which is in business, and then from there they put you under deregistration process. So during this period, you can submit your annual returns. I think that's for about 2 years. But once your company is listed as AR final deregistration, it means that your company is no longer existent. You have to then reinstate the company.
And I think that for me, that's the worst thing that can happen.
Yeah.
You know, building a company, and all of a sudden someone just takes it with the name, and you can't, you've built 2 years or 3 years or 4 years building your company.
You build your company. Most importantly, you build your goodwill, or you build your brand.
Yeah.
For example, if given the amount of goodwill I think I've attached to the company, I really would not want anything happening to the company. So over and above that, you'll note that some people will opt to then say, no, it's fine, let it be deregistered, I'll then get a new company. But then you've got a 2006 company, right? With the registration number 2006, 18, 17, 23, etc., right? But now, if you open a company now, your registration number starts with 2018. So now automatically you are a newbie in business, whereas you've been there since 2006. So you're better off reinstating and keeping that goodwill and company registration number that shows that your company was opened in 2006.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You won't believe it, I just got my confirmation mail that I'm now the owner of BN Business Solutions.
That would never happen.
So the last weekend, I check if my company is in a threat of being deregistered.
Okay. So the CIPC has uploaded a list of all the companies under deregistration, but then you can imagine how cumbersome it is going through 8 documents, if each about 1,000 pages long. So what we've done is we've taken all these documents and indexed them onto a searchable database, and we've put this on live on our website. So now instead of you going to CIPC and struggling to get the notice and finding your company name, you can now just simply log onto our website, which is www.bnsolutions.co.za, and then right on the homepage, you've got a section in red that says, check if your company is due for deregistration. You click on there, you submit your company name or number, and then if you are in trouble, it pops up and says, please note that your company has been marked for deregistration. Contact BN Business Solutions for advice on how to reinstate your company.
Bakani, we're proud of you. 25 years old, building a company. I don't want to know where you're going to be at 45. So it's going to be amazing. Thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me here.